Greetings, and welcome back to Asafo Academic. We have here another debunk video. We have Batya Ungar Sargon. Don't know who she is or why she thinks she has the authority to talk on this topic. To be honest, I know The Hill. I know The Hill is a left-leaning, in my opinion, is a left-leaning news outlet. Haven't watched The Hill since Kim Iverson left. Kim Iverson was basically like their star. To put it bluntly, she was basically their Michael Jordan, and she had to cut ties with them for political reasons. But yeah, haven't heard or thought about The Hill ever since. And I'm now talking about this because it was very interesting because as you know, our culture has conversations online. It is public, but we still have some conversations online. And and of course anybody could be listening if it's on a public platform, but I always notice when people outside of the culture decide to weigh in on topics that really have nothing to do with them at all. So we're gonna start playing. I'm gonna get into it. I don't want to take too much time, but we're just gonna get right into it, and then I'll just be giving my point of view. If you haven't already, check out my other debunk videos as well. I go more at the conservatives, but I always find time to go at the left as well too. I'll say it and I'll say it again. I'm nonpartisan. And let the games begin.
But he's not showing any signs of slowing down. Last Friday, he showed reporters a spreadsheet of Jewish media executives at top entertainment corporations.
Just slow it down just a little bit.
Quote, I didn't realize that it was anti-Semitic to say, hey, I have a Jewish attorney, I have a Jewish record label, I have a Jewish contractor, West told reporters last weekend. He's right. It's not anti-Semitic to say those things. And while a person might need to be an anti-Semite to find the time to compile an Excel spreadsheet with all the names of Jewish executives in the entertainment industry, it's not anti-Semitic.
So she said it's not anti-Semite to mention it, but you have to be somewhat anti-Semite to put it on a spreadsheet. Interesting.
To point out the fact that there are a lot of them. As Professor Wilfred Riley pointed out last week in our discussion about crime, facts can't be racist. The problem isn't that Ye pointed
She just said facts can't be racist, but to put these said facts on a spreadsheet, I don't know.
out that a lot of executives are Jewish. Out last week in our discussion about crime, facts can't be racist. The problem isn't that Ye pointed out that a lot of executives are Jewish. It's that he believes that their Jewishness is an important factor in their positions, their success, and the influence they wield. There's a difference between saying the executives I've dealt with have been Jewish, a fact, and saying Jewish record labels get paid off to promote genocide against black people, which is something Ye has said.
So I'm just thinking how to say it without saying it, you know? The most popular music is gangster rap music. The most, I would say, no, not right now, but for a while, drill music, probably the most violent music we've ever had in rap history, was a popular emerging subgenre within hip hop. Um, when you listen to the raps, the most popular raps, um, they talk about degenerate subject matter, either self-degradation in terms of behavior with drugs or whatever. Very violent in the fact that they talk about hurting other people in the community, we'll say hurting other people in the community. Um, the way they talk about women is a pretty degenerate behavior. The the more positive music doesn't get as much play. And I have mentioned this before about the role of the consumer. I mentioned this in the Young and Ace video he did the podcast on. So rap music, I mean, it's pretty obvious what rap music's about, what makes money, what's popular. So we'll continue on.
There's a difference between act and saying Jewish record labels get paid off to promote genocide against black people, which is something Ye has said. There's a difference between saying that Jewish organizations like the Anti-Defamation League pushed Adidas to break ties with Kanye, a fact, and saying, as Kanye did, that the term Jewish media is a redundant statement suggesting that the media is a coordinated Jewish enterprise that's out to get him. There's a difference between pointing out that your doctor and trainer are Jewish and accusing them of colluding with the media because they and the media are part of the same ethnicity as Ye did. These may seem like small distinctions, but they really aren't. They are the difference between the truth, which can never be racist, and the kind of conspiratorial thinking that led to the biggest atrocities in human history. It's never racist to point out facts. The definition of racism is judging someone's actions based on a prejudice about their race, which is the only way that Ye is capable of talking about Jews these days. By contrast, I want to highlight another video that's been circling in which Charlamagne the God, host of The Breakfast Club, was interviewed on this very topic 9 years ago.
So we've been peeped the old Charlamagne interview on DJ Vlad. We've been new. So as soon as Charlamagne said whatever he said, people that really know him were like, flag on the play, flag on the play. Some people might have forgotten, so this is the thing. You say one thing and then something else gets dug up, right? Continue on.
Now, Charlamagne that's been circling in which Charlamagne the God, host of The Breakfast Club, was interviewed on this very topic 9 years ago. Now, Charlamagne was pretty scathing in his criticism of Ye's comments last week, asking repeatedly, quote, how a black man wakes up and decides to become a Nazi in response to Ye's anti-Semitic comments and the t-shirt he wore at Paris Fashion Week, which read White Lives Matter, which actually started the whole downward spiral. So the older video of Charlamagne was circulating on Twitter as, alleged evidence of hypocrisy, but I would argue that it's proof of the opposite. The video of Charlamagne shows someone who hasn't succumbed to anti-Semitic sentiments struggling with facts that he's worried might seem anti-Semitic. So let's take a look at that.
So her argument is that we're gonna hear what Charlamagne said. I'm not gonna put the video because I don't want to deal with any strikes or copyright or whatever, but she said she's gonna make herself an authority now and explain the difference between what Charlamagne said and what Kanye said. So we're gonna hear what Charlamagne said.
Video.
Black people, we don't have no power. No matter what we do, we can all click up. We don't have no organization that holds any weight. And nobody people don't hold no weight. We don't have no organization that holds no weight. You can't speak bad about a Jewish person because they have organizations and they're a close-knit group of people in power who will bring you down. Same thing with gays. You can't say nothing bad about gays because they move as a unit. Black people don't have that. I love Jewish people. They're powerful. I don't want to misconstrue anything I'm saying or take anything I'm saying the wrong way. So I would much rather not even have this conversation. I have a lot of great Jewish people in my corner. I have a Jewish conglomerate. Yeah, absolutely. You know why there's not a lot of Jewish rappers? Because there's Jewish owners and Jewish CEOs. They run these labels. They're bosses. That's why.
Okay, so you heard that, right? I'm just gonna actually replay that one more time. So we're all on the same
anything I'm saying the wrong way. Black people and they're a close. We don't have no power.
To anti-Semitic sentiments, struggling with facts that he's worried might seem anti-Semitic. So let's take a look at that video.
Black people, we don't have no power. No matter what we do, we can all click up. We don't have no organization that holds any weight. And nobody people don't hold no weight.
So he said power. That's one key word.
We don't have no organization that holds no weight. You can't speak bad about a Jewish person because they have organizations and they're a close-knit group of people in power who will bring you down. Same thing with
He said close-knit group.
gays. You can't say nothing bad about gays because they move as a unit. Black people don't have that. I love Jewish people. They're powerful. I don't want to misconstrue anything I'm saying or take anything I'm saying the wrong way. So I would much rather not even have this conversation. I have a lot of great Jewish people in my corner. I have a Jewish conglomerate. Yeah, absolutely. You know why?
He says he has a Jewish conglomerate.
There's not a lot of Jewish rappers because there's Jewish owners and Jewish CEOs. Have a Jewish conglomerate. Yeah, absolutely. You know why there's not a lot of Jewish rappers? Because there's Jewish owners and Jewish CEOs. They run these labels.
So he asks a question, why aren't there any rappers? And then he explains why there isn't any of those rappers. So he asks a question, he asks a rhetorical question. So we have 3 pins that we're going to come to later. We're going to see what she says now.
Bosses, that's why.
So Charlamagne starts by making the claim that black people don't have any power, any organization that really holds weight. He then goes on to say that because Jews and gay people have organizations that have power, if you say something bad about them as a group, those organizations will bring you down. In other words, his point is that black people have no power, not that Jews or gays have too much. What these groups have for Charlamagne is a sense of responsibility toward each other, coupled with a few organizations that have power, and that makes all the difference.
So she just put a lot of words in his mouth. That's all she did, because she didn't even explain exactly what he's saying. She's just saying he said that, essentially, about a responsibility to each other. He never mentioned anything about those people working together, right? So she's putting a lot of words in his mouth. She's not really dissecting exactly what he's saying. She's sort of just explaining it for him, in my opinion.
Now, it doesn't matter. Charlamagne is a sense of responsibility toward each other, coupled with a few organizations that have power, and that makes all the difference. Now, it doesn't matter if you agree with him or not. In the complete video, the interviewer pushes back against Charlamagne, wisely, I think, to say that, of course, there are repercussions if you say racist things against Black people. And to be clear, I think.
But it's not the same. Obviously, demonstrated with Kanye, there's been a problem with him making remarks towards Black people about Black history. There's been backlash, yeah, but he's still been able to continue on. But the first time Kanye says something about a group of people, then he gets his everything taken away. Kanye never once apologized to Black people. Until now, he just did one time. But when he wouldn't apologize to that group, we see what happened. So she wants to compare the social media backlash to the financial backlash. When has a bank ever came out and said, we don't want Ye's money? Never happened before. When did a company ever come out and say, we don't want to make $2 billion with Kanye West? See, this is why you got to see the military mind games that they put in front of you. I mean, The Hill, they're not mainstream or anything. They're more of an independent. But if they're going to be shilling like this, using people not part of the culture to speak on people in the culture, you can see this. This is a mess from a mile away.
Charlamagne is wrong against Charlamagne, wisely, I think, to say that, of course, there are repercussions if you say racist things against Black people. And to be clear, I think Charlamagne is wrong about that difference, but that doesn't make him racist. The opposite. His comments seem to suggest that he believes Jewish and gay Americans have figured out how to protect themselves in a way that he envies.
Isn't that what Kanye said? So Charlemagne, he envies it, but Kanye is jealous. So is that the difference? Black people have to be envious to speak on those people? We'll see.
Charlamagne then goes on to suggest that he believes Jewish and gay Americans have figured out how to protect themselves in a way that he envies. Charlamagne then goes on to make an argument about why there aren't any Jewish rappers, which he argues can be explained by the fact that there are Jewish CEOs who run the labels.
Right. Isn't that what Kanye said?
And this is where he comes closest to the point that I think Kanye has been making. But here's the difference. Charlamagne looked at the facts as he saw them, that he knows a lot of Black rappers, a lot of Jewish entertainment executives, and few Black executives, and probably no Jewish rappers. And he extrapolated from that being hard up, let's say, is what makes you a rapper. And you don't make that kind of music when you can access the entertainment industry from the business end. That's
what?
the argument. He's a rapper, and you don't make that kind of music. And he extrapolated from that being hard up, let's say, is what makes you a rapper. And you don't make that kind of music when you can access the entertainment industry from the business end. That's what.
Do you see how many words she put into his mouth? If she said hard up, what was she trying to say when she said hard up? Did she think she was making some type of urban city reference or something? Hard up? Is she talking about the School of Hard Knocks? Was she trying to say that? But Charlemagne, he didn't say. It was pretty clear what Charlemagne said, but this lady is saying the most for him. Even I got this, I had to slow down the speed because she's talking so fast. She's a fast talker. That's what she's doing. She's fast talking. She she's trying to speak so fast that, well, I do have it sped up, but like she is talking pretty fast, I have to say. But but man, she's basically explaining what Charlemagne said without any real context. Because Charlemagne never said anything about Jewish people having a responsibility for each other. He did say they have organizations and groups, and we're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to that. But she's going on and on and on about shit that wasn't said. So now Charlemagne didn't say that black people have it harder to get to become rappers and executives wouldn't access being a rapper through the business end. He never mentioned that. So what is she talking about? So she's playing interference. This is what we call interference, ladies and gentlemen. This has been going on for some time over Charlemagne. People will come in and do interference. I remember a political analyst, Angela Rye. She came in and did interference on another situation. I'm not gonna name, not gonna name. Tasha K did an interview. Um, so this is interference to clean up what was said, right? This is interference. And we have to see these games as they happen in real time. In real time. I haven't even finished the video, but I've already come to the conclusion she's running interference. That's why you got to be politically educated. Here we go.
What the argument he's making seems to be to me. Charlemagne looked at the same facts as Ye, the business end. That's what the argument. You a rapper and you don't make that kind of buzz, and he extrapolated from that being hard up, let's say, is what makes you a rapper, and you don't make that kind of music when you can access the entertainment industry from the business end. That's what the argument he's making seems to be to me. Charlemagne looked at the same facts.
Oh, caught that. She said seems to me, seems to be with me. We caught that. I caught that.
From the business end. That's what the argument he's making seems to be to me. Charlemagne looked at the same facts as Ye, but he knew it couldn't be something related to their ethnicity that made Jewish executives that he knows more likely to be executives. Ye looked at those facts and decided it couldn't be anything else but their Jewishness, just like he does in this clip.
The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that.
Sorry. And therein lies.
And then she's laughing. Why is she laughing? Is she laughing by the potential deals he's gonna lose, or I don't know.
That's the difference. What makes what Kanye keeps saying racist is the implication that somehow it is their Jewishness that makes Jews more likely to be, harming him as doctors, as hospital owners, or as entertainment executives, and that they use that Jewish essence to wield power that harms the black community. This is, of course, racist nonsense. If being an entertainment executive was the birthright of every Jew, there would be a lot fewer Jewish teachers and shopkeepers and social workers. If Ye thinks that any random Jew can become a Hollywood executive, I have a bridge I'd like to sell him. The reason so many executives are Jewish is not because they're Jewish, but because all people in power tend to help those in their immediate networks. In fact, Kanye got a bit closer to the truth in another video. Watch.
I want my people to rise up like the Jewish people. I'm a competitor, and I'm jealous of the Jewish community. I'm jealous of the fact of how they don't abort their babies. I'm jealous of the fact of how they stay with their wives. I'm jealous of the fact of how they do business together. I'm jealous of the fact of how they read their contracts and understand their contracts. I'm jealous of the way Jewish people do business.
I actually find that video almost unbearable to watch because Ye's pain is so apparent, and he's right on some issues that Jews have fewer abortions.
She said she couldn't bear to watch because the pain was apparent. So she wants to throw a little sympathy cookie.
And fewer single-parent homes, largely due to socioeconomic factors. Jews are more likely than the average American to have a college degree, so they're more likely to have all the benefits that come with that. He's also right that they do business together the way all groups tend to, favoring intra-group relationships. As to understanding their contracts better, I'm afraid that, like the space lasers, those don't come in the Jewish starter pack, at least in my own personal experience. But jealousy is an extremely painful emotion, and I'm not surprised that Ye tried to escape it with a convenient conspiracy theory that Jews are trying to keep him down. And I hope someone manages to explain to him where he got it wrong. Unfortunately, his comments seem to have unleashed a new meme on the Nazi right, with Kanye is right about the Jews showing up on posters over an LA highway and most recently at sports games. Still, I'm glad he's back on Twitter.
Damn! Who put that one up? Who put that one up? Whoever put that is getting fired. Who is going crazy on the sports arenas? God damn! Wow, I didn't know about that.
Sure. While no one is entitled to a most recently at sports games.
There
Still,
it is.
I'm glad he's back on Twitter. While no one is entitled to a brand ambassadorship worth $1 billion, hate speech is protected speech, and it's not like he even said an anti-Semitic slur. The debate over his comments belongs in the public sphere. I'm sure you agree with me about that, Robbie. Were you happy to see that Kanye was back on Twitter with Elon Musk taking the reins?
Well, I think it was fine, I guess, to sanction him over the initial.
You gotta throw in Elon Musk. You know what? I'm done. I don't know who this guy is. Doesn't even matter. So to thoroughly debunk exactly what she's saying, apparently she doesn't know what the ADL says about anti-Semitism. So I'm going to read from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League, they set the standards of what is anti-Semitic and what is not, or whatever, right? So we're gonna see what they say, because she's trying to put in this, she's trying to put in a argument of intent, because Charlamagne's intent was not malicious, it wasn't anti-Semitic, apparently, right? So we're gonna thoroughly debunk this, and this is a warning to anybody currently watching The Hill. They're just a bunch of shills now. Look at what they have to do. They have to resort to speaking on Charlemagne on DJ Vlad, of all places. Anyways, Anti-Defamation League, ADL.org, anti-Semitism, right? So it says here, the belief or behavior hostile toward Jews just because they are Jewish. It may take the form of religious teachings that proclaim the inferiority of Jews, for instance, or political efforts to isolate, oppress, or otherwise injure them. It may also include prejudiced or stereotyped views about Jews. Ding, ding, ding. So this is the first one. Anti-Defamation League. Let's continue. ADL publishes new guide to anti-Semitic tropes. This is 2020. I would say March 11th. So, organization calls on public leaders to avoid anti-Semitic rhetoric during 2020 election, shares resource with candidates. New York, March 12, 2020. Beginning this week, ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, will share a new comprehensive guide to contemporary anti-Semitism with candidates running for national office in 2020, as well as every member of Congress. So this was in relation to the election, but this is fresh information. Anti-Semitism Uncovered, a guide to old myths in a new era. Okay, so it doesn't get any better than this. Identifies some of the most stubborn tropes about Jews, explains why they are dangerous, provides the backstory behind the myths, and shows how they evolved into the present day. As violence against Jews is already at historic levels, we call on all public leaders, particularly during this heated political season, to avoid invoking anti-Semitic tropes. And Jonathan A. Greenblatt, ADL CEO, the tropes this guide explains are the roots of anti-Semitism and have led to violence against Jewish communities around the world over centuries. Today, there are still modern drivers of anti-Semitic violence, finding voice in the tweets and public statements of elected officials, or resonating with the extremists who carried out violent attacks against Jews in Pittsburgh, Poway, and Jersey City. Anti-Semitism Uncovered is a carefully researched, authoritative, peer-reviewed resource that provides a concise history of anti-Semitism through the ages and definitions of 7 of the most common anti-Semitic tropes that have had remarkable staying power through the centuries. Myths about power. Power. Remember the first pen, Charlemagne? Power. He mentioned power. This is the first thing they mentioned. Myths about power. Loyalty, greed, decide, the blood libel, Holocaust denialism, and the newest form of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, and delegitimization of Israel. Interesting. The guide explains the history of anti-Semitism and the myths that have helped it to endure for centuries. The first chapter provides a brief summary of anti-Semitism on a global level. The next chapter details anti-Semitism in America. Each of the following 7 chapters tackles one of the tropes: have too much power, are disloyal, are greedy, Jesus, use Christian, whoa, Holocaust denialism, and then yeah, but the number one is Jews have too much power. What did he say? What did he say? The 3 pins, remember, power, work as a group. He asked the question why there aren't any rappers, and then he proceeded to answer his question. Power, group. So, just one last thing. It's a picture of Charlemagne with Louis Farrakhan. Um, Louis Farrakhan would have to be the mortal enemy of the ADL for the stuff that he said. So, I mean, pictures have 1,000 words. What can I say? So to round it all up, this lady here, Batya Ungar,
Charlemagne
not,
looked at the facts.
not part of the culture. We don't know who you are. You came out of nowhere speaking for somebody. We don't even know if you guys even know each other. It's crazy. But you see, this is why I'm saying military mind games, because this story is a little bit, or this debunk is a little bit different than the other debunks that I've done, because those debunks were based off of ahistorical, opinionated about history, about Black people's history, about Africa. So that was a correction. This is more of a dissection, analyzation of obvious lies, because the lies is so apparent. 5 minutes in, I could tell she's running interference. How can she not know the ADL definition of anti-Semitism? And how can you conclude that Charlemagne did not fall in the direct definition of anti-Semitism? But I have one more nugget for everybody, right? Because this is when you have to think outside the box. This is when you have to think outside the box. So this is The Hill, right? And this is iHeartRadio. So The Hill has a podcast on iHeartRadio News. So The Hill directly works for iHeartRadio News. iHeartRadio, guess who else they own? Yeah, they own, let me get it for everybody. They own The Breakfast Club, 105.1 FM. So iHeartRadio owns The Breakfast Club. They also have The Hill on their podcast. So I don't think anything else needs to be said. I mean, the obviousness of it all. That's it for me. Let me know what you think. Do I have it completely wrong? Do you see what she's saying? Do I have a mental gap that I'm not seeing? So please help me with this mental gap. Peace out to the next video. I'm out.